There are a lot of exotic cars that are notorious in having the reputation of crippling and catastrophic maintenance and servicing costs. And honestly, it was something that emerged really for the first time in the 90s and the early 2000s, because that was the first era of supercars where daily driving was a realistic possibility. Prior to that, in the 70s and 80s, people knew they were unreliable and expensive to maintain, and so they just didn't drive them very much. So it was uncommon for somebody to just be shocked by how much it took to keep one of the cars on the road. But as people really started to rack up miles on these cars, they started to understand that certain cars just had that potential of being really, really expensive to own. And the V12 Lamborghinis, the timing belt Ferraris, certainly all the hypercars and the XJ220 and the McLaren F1 really developed that reputation, and it was a stigma that was hard for them to shake. And so even a decade or more later, many prospective owners are very, very scared of what it might cost them to maintain some of these cars, particularly as some of the manufacturers really pushed the boundaries of what was possible into the 2000s. Cars like the Ferrari Enzo, the Carrera GT, and the SLR. Now, a few months ago, I bought an SLR that was originally owned by Paris Hilton that she got a DUI in and got repossessed, and Britney Spears made rather famous with her unsheathed undercarriage, and we've talked a lot about that, but I bought it very, very blind. I bought it from a dealer auction after Tyler Hoover found out that it was available. So when I got it here to Atlanta, I really didn't know what I was in for. I had gotten some insight from Rich from Glossit because they were sort of sponsoring my purchase of this car and obviously the content that we've been able to create about it. And today they have another special offer for you that you can learn about at the link in the description below. They've offered you free gloss and packages and discounts, and so today they've got another amazing offer, and I hope that you'll check it out, because when they detailed the car and it showed up to my house, honestly, I was just shocked. And I got to enjoy that throughout Gold Rush, because every time we'd reach a destination, all the other cars were just insanely dusty, and most of it just fell off of my car. They had cleaned it well, they had decontaminated the paint, they'd coated it, and they'd made the car ready for anything. And so I have been very, very impressed with Gloss's products and their customer service in getting my car ready, and I definitely couldn't have made this purchase possible without them. So please check them out at the link in the description below. But soon after I got it to my house, I took it to my local Mercedes dealer, and the one that I normally use, the one that prepped the CL55 for Cannonball, they took the car in and then realized they weren't quite ready for it. And so they said that I should take it down to their southern kind of sister dealership closer to Atlanta, because they had an SLR trained technician and they had the special lift that you apparently need to put this car in the air. And so one of the reasons why the SLR is known to be so expensive to service and maintain is the way that the carbon tub is built. Because if you just jack it up like a normal car, it can shatter all the glass. The tub is so rigid that that's a real concern. So they have to open everything, the hood, the trunk, the doors, and then they have to bolt it to the lift and put it in the air. And then they have to remove about 180 screws from the under tray in order to access everything. And so you may have seen a video that I did with Tyler Hoover while he was here to film Car Trek, that we went down there and looked at it. He was very excited to see it. He wanted to drive it, but obviously the car was pretty tied up. And at that point, we went through the insane estimate that I had gotten from the dealer. And again, I took the car there really just for an oil change, expecting them to find a few things, but they found a lot. In fact, they found all this stuff. We were doing an A service, which on a normal car is a few $100. On an SLR, it's $2,105. They thought it might need a power steering pump, which was another $2,200. If that didn't work, they wanted to do a steering rack, which was going to be $6,270. They wanted to replace the wipers, the hood struts. They said one of the wheels was bent. They said it needed a new battery. One of the biggest issues that I had was that it was very hard to open and close the hood because the roller track was actually broken. And so to replace that was $3,405. The passenger door weather stripping was compromised. They wanted to replace that. They wanted to replace the passenger door strut for $2,500. The door just wouldn't stay all the way up unless it was warm enough outside, which it's now warm enough, and it doesn't. I didn't do that. They wanted to replace some brake line mounts, which I did think made sense. They were moving around a little bit. That posed some issues. The windshield washer nozzle for the headlight was inoperative. $500 to fix that. The fuel cap tether to keep that attached, that was broken. $100. They wanted the tire fit container, I guess fix a flat or something. I'm not going to pay for that or use it ever, so we didn't do that. The brake caliper cooling ducts had deteriorated, and they thought that might need to be replaced. The rear diff was seeping. They wanted to service that for $850. They wanted to replace the drive belts for $1,150, flush the coolant for $965, replace some wheel bolts for $455. That was advised based on time. They wanted to do a brake flush for $1,250, replace the key battery, and do new engine air filters. Now, Obviously, I did not do all $34,500 of that. Unfortunately, even as they continue to evaluate the car, they didn't necessarily think all of that was immediately required. I think I did $6,000 or $7,000 worth of stuff, which on a car of that magnitude that had only racked up about 2,000 miles and only been recorded to have been serviced once in the prior decade, that was reasonable to me. And so I got the car back and it was running pretty well until it wasn't. As I talked about in the last video, I was driving it up to get ready for Gold Rush and the air conditioning failed, which started to develop some other issues, including a catastrophic fuel smell. And it was hard to imagine how those might be related, but in fact, the SLR and a lot of Mercedes products use the AC compressor to cool the fuel. And so our theory that the fuel temperature was increasing throughout the day, causing the evap issue that was obviously resulting in the insane fuel smell inside the car, was actually true. And so when I took it to them, honestly, I had a very inexpensive bill. The next one was about $600 as they just went through and checked all of the values in the cooling system and learned that it was really just one irregularity that had flagged the system to shut down the AC compressor, which ended up causing the fuel vapor issue. So they topped off the oil because it was consuming about 1 liter every 1,000 miles, and they reflashed everything, made everything reset, and everything really started to work. And so honestly, in the 3,000 miles or so that I've put on the car, you know, it's been about $2 a mile, maybe a little bit more to maintain, but I think the next 5,000 to 10,000 miles are going to be pretty easy. Of course, we never know if that's the case. And so yes, these cars can be extremely expensive to maintain. They, like most cars, are going up in value pretty quickly. I've had some pretty crazy offers to try to buy the SLR. I don't necessarily want to sell it. I'm really enjoying the car. I find it to be quite comfortable, quite capable, unique in its driving experience. There's really nothing like it. And, you know, honestly, when you look at what it costs to own and maintain one of these cars relative to some of the more modern exotics that have double clutch transmissions that aren't terribly serviceable. If they fail, you just replace them at $30,000 or $40,000 a pop. Some insanely complex hydraulic suspensions that can absolutely ruin you financially if they start to go. And obviously clutches and other things that we've always known these kind of cars to consume. Most of these older exotic cars, the 80s to 2000s cars, 20 to 30 grand was usually the worst case scenario. Now we have some cars that can realistically cost you $40,000 to $50,000 if things fail. And those failures are not as uncommon as they ought to be for how long these manufacturers have been building cars. And so when I think about true cost of ownership, you're playing a little bit of Russian roulette with maintenance on some of these aging supercars, but you're not dealing with the depreciation that you might be with a newer exotic car that are built in higher quantities, that are potentially more inflated due to their usability and just the general swelling of values in the exotic car world. And so in my personal experience, putting hundreds of thousands of miles on these old supercars, I don't find the stigma to be quite as valid as the rumors and the fears might indicate. And so I don't know how much the SLR is going to ultimately cost me to own. I think I'll probably make money in its value. I'll continue to spend some money maintaining it, but I can't say that I've regretted the decision just yet. I'm very happy that the Paris Hilton SLR is now Ed's SLR, and I fully intend to keep on driving it. So stay tuned for more adventures in it. And again, thank you so much to Glossit for supporting this video and supporting my purchase of the SLR. I love the car and I love them for making it look so good, and it's made it a whole lot easier for me to maintain. So visit the link in the description below for their latest offer to VINwiki viewers. I know you'll love their products as much as I do. Have a great day.